Okay, before we get into the podcast this week, I just want to thank our sponsor for the month, Triptych Press. Our buddies over at Triptych Press specialize in getting new businesses up and running, as well as keeping old businesses running. They provide design services, including logos and branding, websites, and e-commerce shops. They'll design and print all your brochures, mailers, banners, and posters. Whether you're just starting out or your business needs a makeover, visit www.triptychpress.com for all your design, online, and printing needs.
It was a few months back. I don't know. The high schoolers they had like this project, and they had to like, interview people. So they.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they were going to interview Diana, but she couldn't do it, so she sent them to me. And
I didn't know that.
It was funny because I do get really awkward about it.
Yeah,
and then when you put a camera in my face, it kind of made it a little bit worse.
We fill you with beer, and
but that's the fun part. It wasn't, and then like my dog was going crazy in the background, and. Just couldn't formulate sentences as soon as the camera turned on.
That's usually my job. I don't formulate sentences on this. So.
It was awful. And then it played, and it was like the only thing I could think of to say something nice about the auction was bananas. It was like, it was bananas? I was just like, it was bananas. And I sounded like such a robot. I'm like, I need to stop watching Minions with my kids.
We've done so many of these now that he'll be like, oh, you say this a lot, or you say a lot. Mm-hmm. And then all you can do is focus on it. So you're talking to people and you're not even listening to them. You're listening to yourself say that one thing, and you're like, I can't not do it.
Haunts you. Yeah.
Like, because you say a lot.
I do say a lot.
I know what it looks like.
Yeah. And
I know what his looks like, and it's horrifying.
All right.
And when we have Jordan on from Speedwell, he says yada 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 a lot, to the point where we all just raise our hand, and it was so great.
Make a drinking game out of it.
Totally. Because then it starts to get like in his head where he doesn't even know how to like talk anymore.
Yeah.
It's fucking great.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's why he hasn't been on in 2 months.
Pretty much.
We're live, by the way.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right,
you didn't want to do a sound check?
I did. This was sound check.
Oh, yeah. No, he like put it closer.
Okay.
I kind of talk soft, It's like...
Are you guys okay? Yeah. No. Did you want to be on mic? You sure? Okay.
You want to break it down,
You guys can like cheer. Yeah, all right, cool.
Golf clap. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, Inebri-arts. This is Andy, the Inebri-art podcast, and we are here at Mayflower Brewery, and we have a small audience. Hey, guys.
Hey.
And so, God, 3 years ago? 3 years ago now?
I think so.
Plymouth launched a public art project where they decided to paint 30-ish fiberglass lobsters, and now they're doing scallop shells, and that's how I met today's guest, Kate Wilkins. Wilkins, right?
Yes.
Another lobster scallop shell artist.
Yes.
So, welcome to the show. She said she was nervous and stuff.
We're getting through it.
Yeah, we're getting through it.
It's nice having beer in the conversation.
Beer always makes it better. So, what possessed you to get involved in the lobster crawl?
Actually, my manager from my old job, she decided to... She was a part of the chamber, Women in Business.
Oh, okay.
And she had gotten the email blast, and they were asking if Plymouth Country Club wanted to sponsor a lobster. But it would be kind of silly to... They thought that the lobster was going to be at the country club, which is off exit 4.
Yeah.
Be way out there. So
there was one lobster that was way down in South Plymouth.
I remember that.
And that artist was super pissed.
I know, because it was really beautiful.
I never even saw it.
It was really nicely done. They had it at the Cabbie Shack when we had our party thing with the awards. They actually kept it there so everybody could see it.
There was a party with awards?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I didn't even know. So that
I think it was in an email. I missed the trolley ride.
I saw the trolley ride, but it was like, I mean, with Inebri-art, we plan stuff.
Yeah. You guys are always busy. Everywhere.
Like, literally, I got my first email today about 2020.
Oh.
About dates in 2020, and I'm like, okay. So we booked so far in advance, and the chamber's always like, hey, this Thursday. And you're like,
Yeah.
I'm busy. I can't do this Thursday. And that's what happened. I saw the trolley. We were loading stuff into an event, and people were driving around the trolley. They're like, shouldn't you be here? And I'm like, I can't, sorry.
Were they all wearing lobster hats?
Maybe.
Because you've seen that down on the waterfront before, the lobster hats. At least I've seen a tour bus full. Yeah.
But I did end up organizing a lobster pub crawl with just like friends of mine.
We missed that. No sitter.
Super drunk. There was a lot of us. And it was the night that Diana's got stolen.
Oh, no. Wait, what?
Yeah.
The same night?
The same night. Because I immediately texted friends of mine and been like, we are clearly suspects. Because we were not shy about being like, we're, drinking and going to all these. And
Checking
suddenly
out the
this is gone.
Yeah. Oh, my
it
God.
was
What if you guys were just like,
we never made it down
you know what I mean?
that far because there's no bar down there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, because she was all the way down at
Nelson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nelson Park.
Yeah.
So it's funny, like I didn't even think about that till just now.
Oh, yeah.
We definitely have to do a pub crawl again.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
But what would we call it?
A pub crawl.
But are you going to put a twist on it because it's like the scallop thing,
Scallops crawl, right? How do scallops? Scallops swim?
Scallop swim.
Scallop. Oh, okay. All right.
That's why they're so big. It's the muscle.
Oh, does it like do the?
Yeah.
Is it like SpongeBob? Like the?
Yeah, basically.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
Isn't like SpongeBob.
Everything
I know about
Look, it's not off
the ocean
my,
is from SpongeBob.
It's not from my old job. Actually, applies to something we're talking about.
Oh, okay. That's true.
It makes sense. Well, my kids just started watching season 1 of SpongeBob, which was like at the time when I was about their age when it came out, and it was hilarious.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I know it's weird, right?
Oh my god, she's so young.
I
thought I was going through a really good
adult phase.
Yeah, where I had adult guests on.
Well, I mean,
If it helps,
It is
just made me feel kind of old.
Yeah, so
I mean, I
used
look
to
like
watch
I'm
it-
like 15.
I used to watch it with my kids all the time, and
It's such a great show.
It's so good. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you ever saw this episode, but there was one episode where SpongeBob was leaving boating school.
Yep.
And he's like, bye, Miss Puff. See you next Tuesday. And I'm like, oh, my God. And my kids are like, what? And I'm like, nothing.
Just that little bit of,
that little, like,
that parent humor in
sliding
there.
in,
Yeah.
So, how did we get here? This is accurate for our podcast.
Of course.
And you also put into our art show this several times, but recently with Iron Man that floored me. It was colored pencil, right?
Yeah, it was all Prismacolors. I ordered the box, and I've been dying for something other than Crayola for years, and they had this big sale going on for, I think it was like the 275 set or something like that. Yeah, and so I got that, and I think the day that I got it, I spent I think 8 or 9 hours just in my chair just drawing, and I did that one, and I was floored at how well that they blended, and it was just like a whole new world.
Have you run into the where you sharpen it, you go to use it, and the tip falls off? It
snaps. That's the one downfall with them.
I have a solution for you.
Oh, okay.
And
tell me.
Because it sounded like you were new to Prismacolor. So what happens is the lead, it's not really lead, but the color is really fragile, so when you drop it, it fractures inside. So when you sharpen it, it just pops off.
Oh.
So what you need to do is put a cookie sheet with aluminum foil, lay them on the aluminum foil, put your oven up to maybe like 200 degrees. I can't even talk now. 200 degrees.
I'm rubbing off on you.
Just kind of get them up to temperature, not very long, maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
Don't preheat the oven, put them in, bring it up to about, 200 degrees for 10-15 minutes, and what it does is it's a very waxy substance, so it melts back together.
Oh.
So you make it like a little weird residue on the outside.
That's cool.
Yeah, someone told me that years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It works like a charm, but the second you drop them, you gotta do it over.
It was like, that's why I sat in like this big armchair. I was like, they're staying safe right here, and I think when we were moving, they got dropped, and that was like the downfall of it.
You put them down, so it's something you kind of. I end up with the ones that I'm using, and then the ones that need to be quote unquote repaired. And when it gets to be enough, that's when I kind of like bake them. But it's
That's such a
super
great idea.
easy and it
Never
works
would have
really
thought
good.
of that.
Yeah.
You know, my husband comes home and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
baking colored pencils.
yeah, you know, dinner, right?
You're like, why did marry an artist?
He's such a good sport, though. I literally have turned my house into like a giant art studio, and I feel so bad. It's like you walk into my kitchen right now. I have the big
barrel there?
It's on my table in the middle of my kitchen, and I have like paint
for our
everywhere.
listeners, you're painting a 50-gallon drum.
Yes.
For the Dirty War Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding a tap room, and they asked us they asked me to organize artists to paint some of these for tables, and I'm like, of course, but I'm going to do one. And Kate's probably close to being done. Mine has not been started. But, you know, I got a scallop shell and a...
Just let's add some more in there, right?
Yeah,
you know,
you know,
little bits here and there.
To, you know, you're doing your shell at the distillery, you've got the barrel at the distillery.
See, that's what I'm thinking, is I can kind of
You
like
can
start and
synergize.
jumping back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And like, oh, well, the paint's drying on this one, I'm going to start here and kind of do it that way.
It works out.
Yeah, that's my plan.
But, yeah.
Be like, oh, scallop shell, oh, drum,
Yep.
oh, a little bit of rum, scallop shell, drum, a little bit of rum. That's my plan.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think so.
That's going to work out.
So, at what point did you, like, have you been doing art your whole life? Like, what was your...
Pretty much.
What was the spark that got you into it?
Horses. I know that's like so cliche for
Horses?
a girl. I know. Drawing horses. Like
Horses and
yes,
unicorns?
I know. It wasn't even unicorns. I'm super detail oriented. Like I have to get like just the shapes and everything.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I think it was an art teacher had said to my parents, because they were like, oh, she does the head so well, because I had like the eye formation and the nose
Eyes
and
on
everything.
horses are really hard.
Yeah, but I loved it. I was always so drawn to it. So that literally, no pun intended.
Been here all week.
Yeah. Catch me anytime. But I always drew horses, and that was just kind of the thing that turned it on to that, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've always just been involved
Was
in
it
different
always
projects with that.
pencil and colored pencil?
Yeah, markers, everything with all the shading. You know,
Yeah.
the Lisa Frank books had like all the colors were like perfect, and then the line and
Lisa
stuff.
Frank.
And it was just, I loved Lisa Frank.
Yeah.
And it just kind of went from there. There was a art project that we did in 8th grade, I think, or 6th. It was 6th. And it was with Cape Cod potato chips, and they had like this big competition. And I remember my art teacher was like, I know you're going to be into this. And, you know, I don't know why potato chips, but
Now I want potatoes.
we had to make a ship.
Yeah.
And you could only use potato chips and like glue. And so we had made this
So you had to
potato
make,
chip
like, a
glued.
Mayflower type ship.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. And it was all sponsored. Like they sent like, oh my God, so many boxes of chips. We had chips everywhere, and it took like 2 weeks, I think, to build.
I would never get a ship.
But it was,
done.
you know, just I've always been into like just weird art projects, you know,
Yeah.
and so when I heard the lobster thing, I was like, that sounds cool.
There's
Kind
a rain
of.
barrel one.
I saw that too. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to answer that one
'Cause
too.
I saw that, I'm like, oh, come on, like,
Just
what's the time frame?
Dangle that one out there too.
But yeah, that came through the email the other day, and I'm like, oh, I might have to.
I flagged it for later. I'm like,
Yeah.
yep, gotta have that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your experience with the Lobster, you were working with a financial company?
Yeah, they were financial advisors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So for our listeners who don't know, it's the whole project was there's a 4-foot fiberglass lobster. A sponsor purchases the lobster. Then you have to work with the sponsor to come up with an idea to paint the lobster. Then you paint it. It goes on display for, it was like 2.5 years?
it was a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was quite a while. And then at the end, they take them down and auction them off, and the money then goes back into the project for more public art. And my experience the first time around was, I'm like, this is what I want to do, and they're like, great, do it. This time around, a little bit different.
Yep. We had that the other night. We talked about that. It was so crazy.
But you kind of had that in the beginning, right?
A little bit. It was, they had a direction that they were looking to get into, a little holistic, especially being financial advisors, they help you grow, you know what I mean, or help you find ways to grow. So it was kind of going off that idea too. So we were trying to find the best way to, show people, you know what I mean? It was a little tough at first. I think I had 50 sheets drawn out, and I'm kind of going back and forth, like, are they going to like this one or this one? And, drive myself
so
nuts.
not that
and
organized. I just... I was like, this is what I want to do, and they're like, that sounds good. And then I did like one drawing, and I sent it to the chamber.
Well, it wasn't bad because once we kind of came up with like a sense of direction, I think it was like the second drawing, we just tweaked the first one a little bit, and the second one they were like, yeah, cool, we love it. And like Paula and Bill were awesome. Like they were so easy to work with after the fact we got that over with. It was like,
because the thing that I didn't really think about at the time was they give you basically like a coloring book outline of a lobster that you have to do your sketch in. And I did the sketch and I sent it in, and then they show up with the lobster, and you're like, shit, it's 3 dimensions. Like there's a whole backside that no one has like okayed, no one has thought about. Was that something that you had to like address? Like how did you go from there?
Not so much, just because of what we did. It's still laid out pretty well with the 3D lobster. We did have to tweak the tree a little bit so it didn't look so funny shaped, but other than that, it went on okay. That was the easy part. Was what was I gonna say? Putting it all together on the lobster was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be.
I felt
a little bit of dead arms, but not bad.
The lobster wasn't bad right up until I got to the tail where it was concave, and I had drawn a lobster pot, which is a lot of straight lines.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to draw straight lines on a concave surface, and I'm like, my life sucks.
Trying to get that all to make it like look, because when you stand far enough back, then you're looking at it like, wait a minute,
crap. So this time around, it's a shell, and I'm like, I don't know how shelly it's going to be.
It doesn't look too bad from the pictures. It doesn't look like it's really deep. I think they were nice enough to give us a good canvas on the inside.
But I told them, I'm like, I'm not going to do things with straight lines. I'm not going to do text.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Your sponsor this time is...
Cape Auto.
Oh, nice. They got a super cool lobster.
Yeah.
Are you going to do kind of an auto themed? Like, don't tell me what
No, he kind of let me free range it.
Yeah.
I've known Kevin for a long time.
I do know what you're going to do.
So, I told you. Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see because we've been doing a lot.
Figured out how you're going to solve your gravity issues?
No, but we're going to wing it, We're just going to see how it goes, and if worse comes to worse, I can paint over it.
That's true, yeah. I feel like the first, with the lobsters, I did it, I saw a lot of other people do it, there was this, like, people wanted to attach things and build off of it. Mine had rope wrapped around it and was holding a buoy.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm going to blank on her name now. But like made a whole base around it with wooden sculptures.
Oh, with the conductor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was one that had like all sorts of musical instruments attached
to it.
That was
awesome.
It was awesome, but
I don't know how they did that.
Does not hold up for 2 years.
No.
Downtown Plymouth.
Somebody took the drumsticks, didn't they?
I think everything.
Yeah. That's
drumsticks
unfortunate.
were gone. Like it had a guitar at one point.
Yeah. It stinks it has to go like that, but that's that's the thing with putting them in public art. Not everybody's like that though.
Broke off of mine, and people were like, oh, someone vandalized yours. I really don't think it's always malicious.
No.
Sometimes
people go to take pictures with it and they knock things, and it happens.
And hang on
it.
Have you ever considered attaching things to it? Although I feel like this time they told people flat out, don't attach things.
I didn't. I was kind of staying away from all that. I remember...
Smarter than me.
Just the timeline that we have this time.
It's really tight.
I was just kind of trying to keep it like
days,
cool
right?
but simple.
Oh, we're picking them up tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Are you going to lunch?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be
I was
there.
actually, Jordan from the Speedwell is doing the food.
Awesome.
And he was here when I got here, so I was just talking to him and be like, so we're eating well, right? Mm-hmm. I think we're going to do pretty good.
Well, they themed it. They're going to do scallop rolls, right?
Yeah, there's going to be scallop rolls, but there's going to be like chicken wings. And,
awesome.
Yeah. Jordan's hooking us up. Big shout out to Speedwell Tavern, Main Street, Plymouth. They're providing all the food for the lobster pickup. Scallop. I keep calling them oyster shells.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah. All the time. So you work in colored pencils. Mm-hmm. Is that like your go-to thing?
I'm kind of a scatterbrain. I want to try everything.
Yeah.
I'm the type that like sees something, I'm like, that's so cool, I need to try it. So I have like 15 unfinished projects at home of like perler beads, and then I get into like felt projects, and then I get into like paint.
I'm Michael's bitch. Every time I go in and be like, hey, that's on clearance. I need that. And you're like, it's 3 paint markers. What are you going to do with it? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. When Copic, or Copic, I don't know how you say it, but
Either
when
way.
they go on clearance, I'm like picking up the big ones, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to need these for, but they're all on clearance, and they're so expensive usually.
$2. Yeah. I'm renowned for that. I feel like every artist has a collection of beer bottle caps and
I have wine bottles. I got in this time when I was into polymer clay, so I was doing a thing with wine bottles, and I still have a stash down there, so it's hidden so people don't see them.
Do you think it's an artist thing to be a bit of a hoarder?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's tough. We recently kind of decluttered the house a little bit, and I was down in my basement is like my main area where I store everything, and I have like a big desk, and I have all my stuff there, and kind of going through it, and I'm realizing that like I have just this enormous stash of stuff, because half the time when you go to the store and you get so excited and you forget that you have certain things, and then you end up buying like 4 or 5 of the same thing, and then you come home and you're like, crap.
So I used to be a big yard sale person, and I'd buy stuff and be like, this stuff is cool. I have like a stack of, not microfilm, microfiche. Does that sound right? Research? Yeah. Microfiche, where like they basically put an entire book on like 4 sheets of plastic, so you can look at it on like it's basically
you basically need a giant.
It's like a 1970s Kindle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they have them at libraries, and you have to show up and reserve them, and you sit quietly and go through like a giant slideshow.
So I have like maybe like 3x5 card size, a little bit bigger, of pages of books. So it'll be like 6 or 8 pages on them, and they're all for like classic books like Alice in Wonderland, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And like, it was like $2. I'm like, these are amazing.
But those are classics, and you could probably do something super creative with the themes of that.
And I probably bought them like 7 or 8 years ago.
Wait, do you still have them?
Yeah, somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah, and like in my mind, I'm like, it's going to be an art project somewhere, somehow.
Mm-hmm. That's
but
me.
I don't know what the hell I'm going to do
That's
with it.
exactly my problem.
So
I get like, I see something and I'm like, oh, this would be so cool, and then I start it, or I don't even start it. Sometimes I just put it aside, and then, I get started on something else, or, I have
was collecting computer keyboards for a while.
Okay.
Because I wanted to do kind of like a mosaic with the keys.
There's an artist on Instagram that does that.
Yeah,
and follow him.
it's
fantastic.
Every single old keyboard I get is all black keys, and I'm like, this is, so I either have to paint the keys, or
just do a big black mosaic.
But they're all the same shade of black.
But you could just tell people it's like, but it's art.
Yeah, you just don't get it, man. I could spell something out, but I can't spell, so that's useless. They'd be like, what's a burger?
Yeah, just read all the keys in one long sentence.
But yeah, I think I saw like a Frankenstein that was done in there.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yep.
Beyond oyster shells. No, god damn it, scallop shells. I'll get it right tomorrow.
Take a sip every time you say oyster shell.
All right. Someone drive me home. Scallop shells, lobsters, and potentially rain barrels. What is it that you're working on?
Right now, I'm working on that 55-gallon drum.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
No. Beyond that, like, do you have any other projects lined up?
No, I'm just kind of winging it. I mean, right now I'm working on resin pours, because that's like my new fad right now. Is resin.
You know what? It's the first time I saw it, I'm like, that's amazing. And then the second time, I'm like, yeah, it's still cool. Now I'm like, meh. Like, I'm over it. They still look cool, but it seems like everyone's doing it because it's approachable.
Well, it kind of becomes like a fad thing, like with the whole liquid paint thing that everybody was doing.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, more like a 3D thing. Yeah.
Are you adding something to it, or
for the scallop?
The geo look.
Yeah. So I saw this lady on Instagram, and she made like this. She took 2 canvases, and she actually did like a small one and then the big one, and she cut it out. And then that gave you like the option to make the 3D effect on the actual canvas, so it sits flat on the wall. You know, it's not going to have like a bump out.
Okay.
But
like you cut into the canvas?
Yeah, you cut into the canvas.
I just don't know how you do it.
Yeah, so I cut into the canvas, and then I glue all the crystals on the back and flip it, and then I kind of resin pour and put things in there and kind of work it. So
see, now I feel like I need to see one in person because it's well, you're going to be I believe you're going to be at an art fair this summer.
I am
on the town hall lawn, town hall lawn in Plymouth.
Yep, I'll be there working on lots of stuff.
August and September.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
which is fine because this won't go up before the July one.
But she's not going to be there in July.
I won't be there.
Fine.
Yeah.
So the first Saturday in August and September, you'll be on the town hall lawn. Yep. It's what happens when you drink every time you say oyster shell.
Wait, you said it.
I know, but like I was saying it.
It still counts.
God damn it! I feel like everyone should drink.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. So is this your first venture into like an art fair?
It is.
Nervous?
A little bit.
Okay.
I'm trying to come up with a lot of things to sell. That's the thing. Because walking into a lot of being at home and having people see my stuff and you know, they're like, oh, that was really cool, I want to buy it, but it's, you know, the original. And I'm like, you know, I have like that weird attachment to the original, so I'm like, yeah, I'd love for you to buy it, but I'm like, I don't want to get rid of it. That's another thing that I hoard is a lot of my original stuff. You should just see my wall at home. It's just covered with stuff.
See, I'm very unattached to my work. So, like, if someone doesn't want to buy it, I don't tend to frame my stuff. I tend to, like, it usually goes just filed away somewhere.
All right.
But you tend to put it out?
I do. Yeah. I put my stuff everywhere. I don't know. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I ended up really liking it a lot more than I thought I would, and then I'm like, I have to save it. But then I'll still sell it. But then it leaves me with if somebody else was interested in it, I can't do anything about it because the original's gone.
You need to do prints.
Yeah. So I'm working on that.
We had that conversation. Yeah.
So I want to do that and get some prints going, so I have some stuff ready for.
And prints are
the show.
a good way to get people to purchase. I've made my table and then some by selling prints because it's a lot harder to get one person to spend a lot of money on an original. Where, you know,
that was my problem.
$20 for a print, you can bang that out no problem.
Yeah.
So that's a good way to not like, you know, the Inebri-art art fair on the town hall. Very reasonable this year. Next year, maybe another story. Did you look at the art fair at the Plymouth Public Library? It's coming up in August. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. No, I'll have to check that out.
I'm gonna have to send you that info too. They're getting like 50 artists, I think.
Oh wow.
It's juried. Our show's kind of juried. I'm like, hey, you want to do this? So I kind of invited people.
Of course.
But I think it's going to be good. I'm very excited, looking forward to it. Especially one of them is just on Facebook has gotten a weird amount of traffic. Like, I think it's the August one. Mm-hmm. To the point where the guy who asked me to run them messaged me. He's like, hey, I see you're advertising August. Can you please advertise July? And I'm like, it's not me, man. Like, Facebook has somehow latched onto the August one, and people are sharing it and liking it to the point where it's just kind of going on its own. So I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm excited.
Yeah, good time. Now you have 3 little kids, like under the age of 10, right?
I have 2
They're pretty small.
almost 11-year-olds and 2 2-year-olds. She just turned 2 in April.
Are they showing interest in art at this age?
Yeah. Actually, Luke brought home a picture. They were doing perspectives, and he did a pair, and it blew me out of the water. He had like the shading, like perfect. It looked awesome. I couldn't believe that he did this. And they love to draw cartoon books.
Yep.
They do comic books, and they do their own like little series of stuff, but they love to draw. So I'm kind of like running with it. So I bought them a desk. last year. They went camping with my parents for a week, and so I kind of like redid their room and
that's cool.
did like an art desk with it.
Yeah.
And I bought them all new like crayons and markers and colored pencils and all the paper that they need and stuff like that. Just, I think it's a great thing to let kids experience.
My
and
daughter
open up
latched
a bit.
onto it. My son's more into music, but my daughter latched onto it. But I remember like how you're like, oh, I was blown away the day that I was like, oh, of course. She did a drawing of, I mean, she was 3 maybe, like really little. And she's like, I did this drawing. And I'm like, great, what is it? And she's like, a whale. And I looked at it, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I see it. And then the next weekend when I had her, she's like, I did another drawing. And I'm like, oh, another whale? And she goes, no, it's a dolphin. And like I looked, and it was a similar shape, but it was in kind of the half moon that everyone draws dolphins in. I'm like, oh, fucking course if that's a dolphin. And since then, she's been blowing me away.
That's
like,
awesome.
So good.
It's such a great thing for kids to open up. They can express themselves, even just when they don't feel like talking some days. They just go in and just drawing, and I feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some days you just are like, you want to draw, and you kind of let it out, and it's like your own little therapy.
To me, it's very zen. Like it when I draw, like almost my brain shuts off.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not even really thinking about what I'm drawing. It kind of just becomes automatic. Do you kind of feel the same? Do you find, like, I've talked to people and like, no, I get stressed out when I draw. Do you like relax more when you draw, or?
I do. I could do it for hours.
Yeah.
And I don't realize it, and then like half the time I look up and I'm like, oh man, it's been like 4 hours.
I should probably feed those 3 kids that Andy just brought up.
Like, get a juice box, and it's a banana or whatever. But actually, it was when I was painting the barrel, I think the other night, Dave came home and I was like, oh, talk to me. And he was having a conversation with me, and I completely just...
And you were just like, oh,
and
I'm sorry, were you talking to me?
I was like, and we were talking the next day, and he was telling me this stuff, and I was like, oh, that's really great. And he's like, but I told you last night. You weren't paying attention, apparently.
You're like, no, I was.
Sorry. I was trying to talk.
Yeah.
I just didn't realize it. But yeah, I totally just... I get so into it that I don't realize. Like,
I very much don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So I get that. I'm thinking of oh god, I'm not gonna be able to remember his name. He was featured in this book called Chroma. It was the very first volume. He does, like, they have these old style Japanese art that's kind of very. It's like a forced perspective where they take something 3-dimensional, kind of flatten it out.
Oh, cool.
And they did like samurais. But he is, I think he was born in Mexico. I don't know if he's raised here, exactly his whole story. So it's all like themes from his heritage, but in that same style. So it's like luchadors and whatnot. And I was at a show of his, and I was looking at the artwork, and I'm like, there's so much more here going on that I never saw in the pictures. And it was all like these really faint pen drawings and like stains on it. And he's like, I give the paper to my kids first, and it's like a brown paper they worked on, and they would kind of like doodle on it and draw and spill things and whatever, and then he would take it and do his work on top of it.
Oh, that's incredible.
It was really neat.
I'm sure there's probably things on there that, just enhance the picture.
Yeah, and even just kind of like textures and little things elements to kind of like carry your eye throughout the drawing that like you would never put there.
No, that's fascinating.
Yeah, but it also kind of includes them in the work, and it's very...
something special,
God, I think his name's Raul something or other. You...
Couldn't find it.
Oh, okay.
I looked.
God damn it, research, you have one job.
We tried.
Yeah. Did he really try?
I saw the effort. There was a lot of clicking going on.
Clicked one time. I didn't see him type anything. Chroma. C-H-R-Noma.
My Google search bar is literally Chroma Volume 1 artist right now, so shove it.
Do you have like one thing that like is on your bucket list that like beyond Plymouth public art projects?
Just
like, do you want to do a children's book? Do you want to do pre-production art on a movie? Like, is there like, what's your dream?
I had thought about doing a children's book, but I really wouldn't know where to start from there. But That's a tough one. Like I said, I'm so scatterbrained, so I have so many things that I want to do.
My dream is just to finish the projects I have in mind.
I need to finish things first. So I follow this artist, Iris Scott, on Instagram, and she's on Facebook too. And she's the finger painter with the oil paints. And she just does all these phenomenal pieces, and she just sells them off. And like, I wish I could do that, But she found kind of her own little niche of something that works, which was finger painting with oil paint. So I would hope to stumble upon something that I could
Which I would also not recommend, because that's really not good for you.
Well, she uses gloves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's okay then.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think it's hard to say. I don't know. I have so many things that I want to accomplish, and so little time, I guess, if you want to say that.
Yeah, it's great.
It really flies by. I guess having kids, you totally see that. You know what I mean?
And it never really stops, because the older you get, the time moves faster.
Of course.
I can't believe we're almost into July.
Yeah, where did the year go?
Oyster shells. Drink.
You did that on purpose.
Oh, you can't drink fish.
There was a
that was on
little
purpose.
drop.
Tomorrow, and we have 10 days, 2 weeks to get them done, which
is going to be insanity.
I haven't even solved all the problems that I need to solve.
I don't even know if mine's going to be a ginormous problem or not.
I've literally been I'm going to do this, and they're great, and I'm cool. And the shells are picking up tomorrow. I'm I should figure out if I can do what I said I was going to do.
Unless you do it, and then you get the 10 responses of, ooh.
Oh my god, it was 6 people. And I love Pack TV. Shout out to Pack TV, but yeah. Art by committee is very difficult, and not for everybody.
There's lots of opinions instead of just one. So I get that. It's tough.
They could have talked ahead of time.
But you make it work.
I did make it work. And to me that was the fun part was when they're this is our 6 ideas. And I'm okay, this is how I'm going to make all your 6 ideas work in one. So to me, that was the fun part.
You molded it into one scallop
I like to
shell.
problem solve, so it worked out. We'll see if I can deliver on any of it. But
I'm sure we're all feeling that way right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Tomorrow is going to be where I'm oh shit, I actually have to do this.
Happening.
Yeah.
This is going to be a couple late nights.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to be painting mine at the distillery.
Oh, okay.
Because
nice.
I don't have the space I had last time, so I did talk to Pepe at the distillery, and he's yeah, that's fine.
That's awesome. Shout out Dirty Water Distillery.
Yeah, love them. So that's why we'll be doing a little bit of scallop shell, a little bit of barrel, a little bit of rum.
Kind of in between.
Yeah.
That's a good mix.
It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with.
Of course.
We'll have to share some in-progress photos, because we're not allowed to share them online, but we can share them with each other.
I'm going to do a time-lapse again. I did one last time.
I'm going to film mine. Yeah.
Do it. It's a lot of fun.
That's the plan.
People love to see that stuff.
I'll take out the audio where I'm swearing at it, but...
Yeah, just throw in some, cool music,
the interesting thing is Pack TV is... Pack TV's we're going to kind of make it into a mini documentary.
Oh, cool.
So...
They're going to be following you around everywhere?
They're going to be there tomorrow.
All right.
So you want to be on Pack TV?
I'll be in the background.
I'll get you an interview. I know a guy. Do you have a online presence for your art, like an Instagram?
I have a Facebook page. I had an Instagram page, and I think somebody hacked it because it no longer exists, and I was on it quite a bit. So that's unfortunate. But I do have
where can people go to find out?
Kate Wilkins Facebook page.
Just Kate Wilkins.
Yeah, It should be like that. Or I believe it's artist Kate Wilkins. Is that sad that I?
You should at least know what it is. You're being interviewed, Kate.
I know.
Come on. I told you to prepare.
Boo on me.
I didn't.
Right? It just says Kate Wilkins.
Oh, yeah, we're friends.
Yeah. That's it. But I have a picture of me painting the lobster. So,
nice.
Yeah. But all my stuff's on there.
Do you know where your lobster ended up?
Oh, they bought theirs. So that's why we did more of a personal
where is it
thing
now?
for your business. It's at their business.
Yeah.
If you ask where it's located, now I don't remember.
I wasn't going to ask you that.
I believe it was in Pembroke. I don't know.
All right.
I should know it. Sorry, Paul.
I actually got invited to a cookout from the person who bought mine and it's by his pool.
That's cool.
And it turns out they're super nice.
They were really nice when I met them
Yeah.
down at the auction.
Yep.
And when I reached out,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like...
I was texting like a bunch of people. I'm like, you gotta let me know what it's going for. They're like, it's up to 800. I'm like, oh, cool. They're like, it's up to 1,000. I'm like, shut up. They're like, it's up to 1,200. I'm like, you're lying.
Oh, it was, I'm not going to say it was bananas. It was amazing.
Like?
It was
Was
incredible.
it like artichokes?
Well, maybe, you know.
Yeah, I actually met the auctioneer. We had the scallop artist meet and greet, and the auctioneer was there, and he's like, I told him they were probably going to get $500 a piece, and apparently the longer it went, the more the people were missing them, that the higher the prices went,
Yeah.
and
It was definitely like electric
crazy.
there.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, obviously Diana's went for the most because hers was fucking
oh my
ridiculous.
gosh, it was when hers
kind
went
of
up.
famous.
People
Yeah.
were like, you know, just hands are flying everywhere, and it was like just you could feel the excitement in the room, and you're like watching these people, and you're like,
Yeah.
this is
For our listeners
awesome.
who don't know, hers was stolen. It was a mosaic, and then she was kind of enough because I would have been like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But to redo it, and it took like 100 and something hours to
Yeah.
do it all, and
But she was a trooper, and
Oh,
she
she's
did
a
it, and it was
sweetheart,
beautiful.
yeah.
You know.
I mean, I when I was doing mine, I was always like, there's a real world possibility this is going to disappear, and I'm totally cool with that. Until someone bought it. And then I'm like, I want to know who it is, and I hope they're cool, and then they turned out to be such nice people.
They were very nice people, and
Yeah.
I'm happy that yours ended up in a
Hopefully I'll
great
be around
home.
for the next auction.
I'm sure you will be. You make time, right?
Well,
With your busy schedule, you never know
I
where
was
you
in
may
Vegas.
be. That explains
Yeah.
it.
Well,
yeah.
I was out there for work. That's what I didn't really
All
have.
right.
So hopefully they'll let us know in enough time where I can be like, I can't be in Vegas this
Yeah.
year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully I won't miss out on whatever special things you got invited to that I didn't get invited to. What was that? Some sort of...
Check the email.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was in.
It's
I forget.
entirely possible. It was an email I missed. I did kind
I
of give...
think so.
Shout out to, is it Amy at the Chamber?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because I did kind of be like, hey man, there were things I didn't know about that you guys did. And I honestly don't care that I missed them. To me, it's like other artists probably didn't know either.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it's a little more organized or in advance. Advance is really my issue.
Yeah.
So
It's like
if you
that.
tell me in
that
enough time,
notice.
I'll be there. But
It's like I need to get a sitter.
I'm looking at 2020 calendars like already on Amazon. Like I need
That's
one.
Insane.
I'm crazy.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. You guys are doing well, and you know, all over the place, and it's great.
Yeah.
You know, can't go
And
wrong.
well, I'm glad you took the time to talk to us.
I appreciate it.
And
yeah.
no problem.
Thanks for having me.
And oyster shell.
Oyster shell.
Now you got a drink.
I know.
All right. Thanks for listening. Okay. Thanks for checking out the podcast. And don't forget to check out our other podcasts on the Inebri-art Podcast Network. There's the Bar Talk. There's Old Colony Cast. There's, of course, the Inebri-art Podcast. And our latest, Retro Redoctopus, a kind of nerd genre podcast that you can check out now, all available on our website at inebri-art.com. And pretty much available everywhere that podcasts are available, on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, all those things. And if you don't see it where you're looking, let us know. We'll try to get onto that as well. And you can also email us at inebri-art@yahoo.com with your questions, complaints, and suggestions. And also, if you could take the time to rate and review us on iTunes, that would be phenomenal. That helps us get more exposure and bring more of these great podcasts to your ears. And thanks again for listening.